Crime Scene Tape. I am one of your hosts, Kevin Bicking with BioCleanup New Jersey, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about insurance. Most importantly, can my insurance company force me to use their contractor? Can my insurance company force me to use their contractor? You see, after a loss, many homeowners are told that the insurance company has a preferred vendor program or a recommended contractor. But can they actually force you to use that company? In this episode, we break down homeowner rights, preferred vendor programs, estimates, supplements, and how to advocate for yourself during an insurance claim. Now let's talk about the call that we hear all the time. One of the most common calls that we receive starts with a homeowner who is already stressed, overwhelmed, and quite honestly confused. They'll say things like, my insurance company told me I have to use company X. Or sometimes they say things like, if I don't use their contractor, they're not going to pay the claim. Or I've even heard, their contractor is already scheduled to come out tomorrow. I guess I have no choice. Now, the reality is that many homeowners don't deal with insurance claims very often. For most people, this might be the first major loss they've ever experienced. Their basement probably flooded and sewage backed up into the house. Family member passed away, or they discovered a serious contamination issue. They're scared. They're looking for guidance. Then they get a call from the insurance company. Why this confusion it's just that most adjusters aren't trying to mislead anyone. The problem is that homeowners often hear, we recommend this company as you have to use this company. Or they hear, we'll send one of our vendors out as, I don't know, this is the only company that you're allowed to hire, but that's not the reality. When you're stressed out and you're dealing with an emergency, those can sound kind of like the same thing. They're not. Another thing is too that insurance companies, they tend to move pretty fast. Think about what happens immediately after a claim is filed. The insurance company wants to mitigate damages, document the loss, control costs, and essentially move the claim forward. So they often have a contractor they work with regularly ready to respond. The homeowner gets a call saying, we've already contacted a vendor, and they'll be reaching out. To a lot of people, that phone call sounds pretty official. It sounds like a decision's already been made. The homeowner assumes, well, I guess that's who I have to use. The homeowner often doesn't know their rights. Most people know they have the right to choose their doctor. Most people know they can choose their mechanic. Everyone knows they can choose who they hire as an attorney. But when it comes to insurance claims, many homeowners don't realize they can usually choose the remediation company or contractor that they actually want working in their home. So when the insurance company says things like, here's a company that we recommend, homeowners typically hear, here's the company that you're required to use. Now, let's add emotion and pressure of an emergency to a situation. Imagine your basement is full of sewage, or there's blood in the home after a traumatic incident. A pipe burst while you were away on vacation. The house smells terrible now. Family members are upset. You aren't thinking about contractor selection. You just want the problem solved as fast as it can be solved, right? When somebody from the insurance company says, we'll send someone, most people simply say, okay, perfect. Not because they made a choice, but because they're overwhelmed and they just want the situation fixed. So we here at BioClean New Jersey, what we tell homeowners whenever someone calls us with this concern, you should always choose the company you feel most comfortable having inside of your home. That doesn't mean the insurance company's vendor is bad at all. It doesn't mean an independent contractor is better. It means the homeowner should understand that they have options and they need to make an informed decision. Because at the end of the day, it's your house. You're the one living there after everyone else leaves. Now, let's talk about what is a preferred vendor program and why do insurance companies use them. One of the most important things that homeowners need to understand is a preferred vendor program is not the same thing as an independent contractor chosen by the homeowner. A preferred vendor is a company that has an existing business relationship with an insurance carrier. They receive referrals from that insurance company and in return are expected to follow certain procedures, reporting requirements, and pricing expectations. Now, that doesn't automatically mean the contractor is good or bad, but it does mean that the insurance company and the contractor already have a relationship together before they ever even arrive at your property. The question homeowners should ask themselves is simple. Who is representing my best interest here? The insurance company's job is to manage claims and control costs. The contractor's job should be to identify all damages, recommend appropriate remediation, and restore the property to a safe condition. Most of the time, those goals align. Sometimes they don't. That's why it's really important for homeowners to understand that they have options. Insurance companies often recommend preferred vendors because they're familiar with that team already. They know how these companies write estimates. They know how they communicate. They know what pricing structures they already use. They know what to expect. That makes the claims process easier for the insurance company. But what is easiest for the insurance company isn't always the same thing as what gives the homeowner. We'll have one of our vendors contact you. What they're really hearing is, this is who you're supposed to use. That's when the confusion starts. The homeowner is already dealing with an emergency. Like I said earlier, they're stressed and they're worried about their property. They may not know anything about biohazard remediation, water damage, or anything at all about insurance claims. So they assume the insurance company's recommendation is their only option. In reality, homeowners should understand who they're hiring. They need to ask questions, review scopes of work carefully, and make an informed decision. Because when the claim is closed and everyone else has moved on, the homeowner is still the one living in that house. The most important thing isn't whether a company is a preferred vendor and the most important thing is whether the company is truly looking out for the homeowner's interest and recommending the work that actually needs to be done. Now, let's talk about, can they force you to use their vendor? Generally, no, they can't. Homeowners usually have the right to choose their own contractor or remediation company. Insurance companies can recommend vendors, but the property owner typically gets to decide who performs the work. That leads to another question. What if my contractor's estimate is higher? One of the first things homeowners notice is that estimates don't always match. One contractor may be thousands of dollars higher than another. That doesn't automatically mean one estimate is wrong. Different companies may have different scopes of work, remediation methods, labor rates, equipment costs, or disposal requirements. One company may identify damage or contamination that another company completely missed during their inspection. It's also common for additional damage to be discovered once work begins. We see that all the time in our industry. In those cases, contractors can submit supplements with documentation explaining why additional work is necessary. If there's a disagreement, the estimate often goes through a review and negotiation process between the contractor and the insurance company. That's a normal part of a lot of claims. As a homeowner, don't focus only on the final dollar amount. Compare what each company is actually proposing to do. Ask questions and get everything in writing. Always. Review the scope carefully and make sure you understand what is and isn't included. Most importantly, choose a contractor you trust to properly restore your property. We say this all the time. The lowest estimate isn't always the best estimate, and the highest estimate isn't always the right one either. The goal is to make sure the work being performed matches the actual conditions of the loss. Now, let's talk about a lot of common myths homeowners hear during a claim. One of the biggest challenges for homeowners that are things that they can face during an insurance claim isn't the damage itself, it's the misinformation. Many people only file a major claim once or maybe twice in their lives. So they're relying on information from adjusters, contractors, friends, social media, and sometimes even well-meaning family members. Let's clear up a few of those most common myths. Myth number one is the insurance company owns my house. No, they don't. The insurance company has a contractual obligation to pay for covered damages according to the terms of your policy. They do not own your property. They do not make decisions for you or your household, and they do not have the right to dictate who performs work on your home. They are a financial party to the claim, not the owner of the property. Myth number two, I have to use their contractor. This is probably the most common misconception that we hear. Insurance companies often recommend preferred vendors. Sometimes they're restoration companies, mitigation contractors, or reconstruction firms that have existing relationships with the carrier, like I was talking about earlier. That recommendation is exactly that. It's a recommendation. In most situations, the homeowner has the right to choose the contractor that they want to work with, whether that's a local company, a family friend, or a contractor they've used for years. The choice belongs to the homeowner. Myth number three, if I use my own contractor, the insurance company won't pay. Many homeowners worry that choosing their own contractor will somehow jeopardize their claim. In reality, insurance companies evaluate the damages and determine what they believe is covered under the policy. The contractor performing the work and the coverage determination are often two separate issues. What may happen is that There can be a disagreement about scope, pricing, maybe methods. That's where documentation, estimates, photos, and negotiations become important. Choosing your own contractor does not automatically mean your claim gets denied. Now, myth number 4. The cheapest estimate always wins. Insurance claims are not supposed to be awarded like a bidding war. A lower estimate may simply mean less work is being proposed. Different materials are being used, or certain items were missed entirely. Homeowners should compare the actual scope of work being done or being proposed, not just the bottom line. The real question isn't who's cheapest. The real question is who is proposing the work necessary to properly restore my property. Sometimes the lowest estimate can become the most expensive option if corners are cut or damages are overlooked. The bottom line, homeowners should ask questions, review documentation carefully, and make informed decisions. No one should feel pressured into choosing a contractor simply because someone else suggested it. At the end of the day, it's your home, it's your family, and your decision. Before we wrap up, a quick disclaimer. We're not attorneys, public adjusters, or insurance coverage experts. Every insurance policy is different. Every claim is unique, and regulations vary by state. Homeowners should review their own policy and consult qualified professionals whenever legal coverage or claim-specific questions arise. Now, some closing thoughts. If there's one thing we'd like homeowners to take away from this, or today's episode, it's this right here. You have the right to ask questions. You have the right to understand what's being proposed. You have the right to choose. You have a right to choose the professionals you trust to work inside of your home. Because when disaster strikes, you're not just repairing drywall. You're not just repairing flooring or any other contents. You're restoring the place where your family lives. So here's a question we'll leave you with. If your insurance company was paying for your surgery, would you let them choose your doctor? Or would you choose the professional that you trust? The same principle applies to your home. Thanks again for listening. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. Have a great day.